Hi, I'm Dr. Angela McBrady of DoctorFlute.com. Today's video is giving Allegra a lesson on flexibility. All right, so Allegra is my daughter. I've had her on videos before, and we always have lovely, lovely flute lessons together. Right? Like today? Nobody ever yells.
Nope.
Ever. But today, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about flexibility with her embouchure because she's having a little bit of trouble. And where she's having trouble, which I don't think I'm going to be able to get exactly her to demonstrate that. But when she's playing low and then goes to a high section and then goes back low, the problem is her embouchure is staying as a high embouchure and not being flexible and moving for the low. So what happens then is, what happens to your low register when you're playing a high embouchure for low?
It doesn't come out.
They don't come out. It's like air, or just, you have to struggle. You have to struggle to get those low notes to come out. So she is working on Chaminade's Concertina, and we played a little bit of that as our opening piece. So I'm going to have Allegra demonstrate this flexibility issue she's having, and then we can talk about it. She's going to play measure 102 to 105 in there, and forgive her of any wrong notes. She's still learning this section. Great. Okay. So that's good. You got through all of that. What happens when you, so it starts with this G to D. Now, when you've been playing the whole piece so far, when you get to this 100 section, you've done a lot of really high notes. This section comes right after you do. So you're going up to a high A right here. It's getting into the real intense middle section of the, what do we call this? The vivo section. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's very animated. So at this point, your embouchure has gotten tight. It's gotten tight. And what happens is that you can't get that low D out. Now, let's just take your breathing. So this is all going to go back to breathing always. That's our first step. And then worry about the embouchure. So can you show me a good breath where you're expanding your stomach and your ribs? No, that was breathing from here. We all saw that move. So breathe from here, expand. Nope, expand this way. Okay, still moved a little bit. Now tighten it up. And she thinks I tickle her, but I'm not tickling. Okay. All right. So relax. Now make sure you're making this move when you breathe. Get your flute ready. Because the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to breathe from here. You're going to tighten those muscles, and then you're going to drop your jaw where the upper lip comes over and tongue a low D for me. What do I always tell you about low notes? They need less
Air.
A lot less air. And because this section here is, you've been blowing harder, it's higher, yours been faster, that when you get to this section, you're blowing too much air. Just, it's coming out too much. Okay, so we're going to go for a low D. You're going to barely blow, not have any air come out, and tongue a low D for me. So breathe, tighten, upper lip over the bottom.
Wait,
you have to have, first finger has to be down for low D. Okay, try it again. Breathe properly. Give that good support. And then hold the air. Hold it like you're holding your breath. Make sure your embouchure is ah. Very ah, upper lip over the bottom. Really big. Oh, nice. No delay. No delay, right? Mm-hmm. See, she doesn't think that when I tell her those kinds of things that I actually know what I'm talking about. Hence the non-yelling lessons that we have. Okay, so put your flute back up. Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? Okay, now what I want you to do, this is going to be sort of counterintuitive. I don't care about the notes. We're not learning the notes right now. We're not learning this in tempo. I'm just using this as, let's work on flexibility right here. So I want you to barely blow. You've done this in the Trevor Wise tone book. He's got some flexibility exercises. Do you remember how you did those?
Yeah.
Where you barely blow. So this is what I mean. You're going to hold it all in. Now, because I held my breath the whole time, I had to let air out because I'm out of oxygen, but I'm not out of air, and then take my breath in because I'm holding it. Why do I want to play that way? Do you know? Like, what was the purpose when we were working on the flexibility?
To learn to keep in your air?
Well, yes, that too, but because we're talking about this.
To learn to change your jaw?
Yes, exactly. When you don't rely on your air and how fast you blow it and how hard you blow to get your high notes and all your notes to come out, you have to rely on the jaw to do all the work. So this gets you up close and personal with your jaw. So you're going to start on that G. We're just, don't care about the rhythm. You're going to hold it in. So breathe properly. And you're going to tighten up and just have as much pressure as you can and barely blow. Okay, wait, let's do it again. Now your D didn't come out at all, and that's because you closed up your embouchure. So still have that ah, and you have to change it as you get higher past the middle D. As you're going to the high G, what should you do with your embouchure?
More ooh.
More ooh, but keep the space. Okay? So breathe, upper lip. Okay, now see how loud you are?
Oh, yeah.
That shows you're blowing rather than relying on embouchure. Do it again, but your low D came out that time. Tight. Too much. So I did too much. Really, nobody ever believes when I say blow less, less, less. So play your G. Just give me a G. Less. Less. Now let's try that. Okay, now you're getting a little bit louder. So what's happening?
I'm blowing more.
You're blowing harder, right? So it teaches you that, oh, look, I am blowing harder for my high notes, even when you didn't think that you were doing that. Now, barely put a ta on. Start on the second. We're doing beat 3 into 4. Hold it all in. And actually, let's just do this. So it does G, D, D, B, B, G, G. And so I'm just going to have her play the low G to D to G. Let's just do that. D, G, D, G. We're going up there. Just play those, barely blowing. Okay, so I want more like this. Now, if you don't have to let your air out, you know what?
That I was holding in. And...
No, that you didn't hold it in.
Oh,
that you used too much of it, right? So like I did, I just had to let it out, okay? You blow so little that when you go up G, D, right, yes, G, D, G, and backwards, you're going to have to let your air out to breathe in again. Barely, barely. It's all lip. Slurring. Yeah, okay. Now let your air out. Did you feel like you had to?
A little bit.
So
Not a lot, though.
I think that means you're still using too much. And you're listening for kind of a clear sound coming through. That's because I'm keeping the space, even though I'm holding that air in. Try it again. Really? So your G didn't come out because your ooh didn't happen. You didn't raise the airstream enough.
I still feel like I'm letting out air, though.
Okay. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to put my flute down. And then because you're my daughter, I can touch you and tickle you, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my hand on your stomach and rib cage, and you're going to breathe. Now press against my hand while you do it, and hold it. Hold it. Let it out. Did you have to do that more?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Wasn't that a better tone?
Yeah.
Completely, because you stopped blowing so much air. Try it again. Let's do something. In these 2 beats, there's a B added. So let's do G, B, D, G, D, B, G.
Okay.
So that's a G arpeggio, G, B, D. Hold it tight. Can you blow less? Tight. Less. Move the lip.
Oops, I did D.
Yeah, it's all right. That's okay. Blow. Press. Ooh. So you hear your G is not quite because the jaw, I want to see it move. So if you watch me do it here, if I'm going to exaggerate the movement because I'm using my jaw to do this, not my lip. And it came back down for the G. Let's try that. Tight. Move out. Back. Off. Yeah. Now, relax for a second. Then, let's start at the beginning on the D. Low D. So you're going to play a G arpeggio starting with D. So D, G, B, D. Just going to that G. Hold it in. Wait, hold more in so that low D comes right out. Tight.
Oops.
That's right, going to a G. Move. No, whoa, did you hear that? You blew harder for that G.
Yeah.
Heard it? Okay. So this is something I would work on a lot. Have her just practice taking sections out of her solo and work on this embouchure. Now, before we're done, she would work on that for a week or so. Right now, I want to go back to this and have you just do... Let's just stop there on that B.
Okay.
Holding your air in, relaxing that embouchure, and see what happens with the tone. And move. So you're moving that jaw out as you go. No, don't miss the low D. So, get the D first. Okay. Now G. Yeah, that's better. And another problem is I think her tongue is too far back. I hear a little flicking noise I shouldn't hear. But that's for another day, okay? We can't deal with everything all at once. But I'd work on that. That was better. I think that was a better sound than it was the first time. And now you can get that D. Mm-hmm. And once you can get a note to come out, a low note, without having that delay and air. Mm-hmm. Means you have to do it. Unfortunately, you have to do it every single time. So no more missing that low D when you're there. Because your embouchure is what? Couple things. Your embouchure is too...
Flexible?
Tight.
Oh.
Not flexible.
I was saying that.
Not flexible. And you are blowing...
Too hard.
Too much air is coming out all the time. And we know that that's a problem for you because we've been working on that and talking about not blowing because somebody still isn't breathing properly all the time, right? So take out small sections in your flute solo that you're working on. Some where you go from a really low to really high, or the opposite, really high to low, because often it's coming off a high note and going back down that gives you trouble, that you don't change the embouchure as you get back down. Then I would play it opposite. I would start low, go high, and then back down until you really learn how to move that embouchure. Barely blow any air. Make sure you have tons and tons of support. And let that embouchure be the thing that gets you your notes. You're going to exaggerate how far you get to that move the jaw out for raising the airstream on the high notes and lowering it and saying for the low notes. Your jaw is going to exaggerate that, but it's going to teach you what you need to do in order to get the tone you're looking for all through your solo so that embouchure stays great and moves, it stays flexible, and you don't lose your low notes, which always used to happen to me in solos. I'd play in a recital or something, a long time ago, and I never knew why I kept losing my low notes halfway through. I knew I was getting tighter here, but I couldn't fix it until I came upon this. Oh, it's because my embouchure needs to be flexible. So it was at a time where I didn't know that it moves like that. So you're learning things before I learned them. Maybe. If you think your mother knows anything. But try that, and you'll find that you're going to have great success. You're going to have a better tone, and you're going to have more luck in your solos, getting your low notes to come out, not just your high notes. So that's today's flute tip. Have fun working on your embouchure flexibility.